Hi, baby.
Hi. Your face looks amazing.
So does yours.
Understand what men need most. And what men need most is respect. But of course, we stopped teaching women how to respect men a very long time ago. So they have no idea how to do that. So my little outline for that is they all start with A. It's easy to remember: affection, appreciation, agreement. That's a big one. Approval and admiration. And I've yet to have the man who does not agree that would be what he would like.
It's not actually a man's responsibility to create safety for a woman. A lot of women are hiding behind this need to feel safe by the masculine, but it's actually this cover up for them not facing and actually holding their own inner girl. Women also have younger parts of them. They also have a wounded little girl within them, and that little girl will come out, and she has to be aware of that and be able to hold that younger part of her. And that's not the responsibility of her man, but this man gets to be the safe space to heal these younger parts of her that she's probably been craving her entire life. He gets to be the safe space for those parts to come out and to be met with loving presence.
All right, well, you're giving me a lot here. Let's dive into these.
Okay. So my take on them, especially the first video, I agree with all of them. Like, cause she said, affection, appreciation, agreement, approval, and admiration. The only two that I
Mhm.
slightly disagree with is agreement and approval. I'm 50-50 on agreement. Like, if you're reasonable and like you can have decent conversation with each other, obviously that makes sense. Approval, I don't necessarily know that it's would stay on my top 5 with that. Because with you, I'm gonna follow your lead, but we also have discussion about everything. Like, you don't need approval from me, and if you do need approval from me, I'm the boss. Like, and it's a one-sided relationship, and I wear the pants in the relationship, and that's not how it works with us. So when she said that one, I was like, I really disagree with that. Like, I didn't like it whatsoever when she said it.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Because if I've got to come to you for approval for, I mean, approve of me and how I'm acting and behaving, that might be a little different. Because if I get a sense that you're like, hey, you were this way, and now all of a sudden you're different, and that doesn't actually line up with the man that I thought you were that was worth following. So I don't approve of that.
Is that approval or accountability?
That's approval because what it you're not you actually you're just like no, like no that's not you. That doesn't line up with you. I don't approve. Like, and for a man, this goes back to this like old thing that I used to believe. Okay, I heard it from a movie. It was
Mhm.
called The Way of the Gun with I think Ryan Phillippe and Benicio del Toro and James Kane or James Caan, I don't remember.
Never seen it.
But this mob boss, this mafia boss, he was talking to this woman who was a surrogate for his wife.
Mm.
And he said he asked her if everything was all right, if everything's good, are you like are you being treated well, whatever. And he's a powerful guy, and she was like, "Well, what do you need my, you don't need my approval. You don't need my permission." And he's like, "Look, a woman needs a a man needs approval the way a woman needs safety," he said. So
Interesting.
there's like this, like, now it seems to tie into both of those videos
Mhm.
because if if there is an agreement there, covert, or whatever subconscious agreement that this is what I provide for you. And I am also very rewarded by feeling approved by you. You have something that's rather codependent, but it's still valid
Mm.
because there is
For
an
me,
agreement.
yeah. And I can see it like from that aspect. The whole reason like I don't really like the word is
Mhm.
for me like when I think of that like setup per se, like that like type of codependency, I think of following your lead. And we've gotten into conversations before of like um you lead, sometimes I lead. It just depends on the capacity of each other, but that's a different conversation for a different time. But the majority of the time you take lead in my opinion. And so for me, I'm going to follow you and I trust that you're going to make the right decision. And we have conscious conversations all the time on like which moves that we're going to make and stuff like that. And so I don't know if it's approval that I would go for it. Like I like the word agreement in that aspect.
Mhm.
So,
There are some things that I would probably wrap into one
yeah.
because here's what I actually believe. A man wants to feel desired.
Mhm,
Okay, he does. He wants to feel appreciated and he wants to feel devoted to.
mhm,
And I think those three, even though they probably encompass a little bit of all five of these in some way,
mhm,
I think those sum it up a lot better.
yeah.
And that I learned from my mentor. Because if we feel desired, we're gonna knock off like three of those, right? If we feel appreciated for our efforts, for what we do, what we bring to the table, these little things, opening jars for you, killing spiders, you know,
Rescuing me from bats. That's the big
yeah,
one.
yeah. Um, but also things like holding space, which kind of brings me to the safety thing, right? Um, but we feel appreciated, and if you're like thank you, and you actually appreciate and you show that, which she's right. Like women haven't been taught that unless it's like handing down from, hey, grandma is telling you society's teaching you to do this, don't do that, do this. This is what a
Mhm.
man needs. And you're really interested because you want to do that for men, right? I wonder too sometimes, baby, if somebody in your family or somebody has sort of sparked that desire for you to show up that way early on, even though it's never been modeled.
So the first person I think of with that is my Oma. I don't remember my Opa. He died a very long time ago, but
Mhm.
I know that she's the type of woman that like from what I was told would like demonstrate that type of relationship and like be able to follow and um be in that feminine role of like letting their man lead. But like I said, I've never seen it demonstrated. Part of it for me in going this route is my experience with my previous relationships in what I was looking for. And to be honest, like I couldn't find it. I couldn't find a man who was like, yeah, I want to go and do these things and stuff like that. It was 50-50 relationships. And then watching my parents and how my mom ran the household and it was like constant nagging and fighting and nobody getting along and there was no harmony and peace. I vowed to myself that I wouldn't have that in my household eventually and in my future relationships. And so that's I think where that stems from. So
Yeah. So your Oma, even though you never really saw it firsthand, demonstrated to you.
yeah, just I can it I'm trying to figure out how to describe this because, like, obviously, like, I don't remember my Opa. He died when I was, like, 1, I think. Um, but just by the type of person that she was and how kind she was and how she interacted with everybody, I can tell that she really respected her partner, and she used to talk about him all the time, and, like, she was, a Christian as well, so, like, she believed that he went to heaven, and she would talk to him all the time, just, like, in her living room, just like, "Hey, baby, like, I love you," like, "Oh, the weather's bad, like, what are you doing up there?" Like, this, that, and the other thing, and so, like, I can tell with how much love she actually had for him, that that was the type of relationship that they had, and who knows, maybe it's completely wrong, and, like, maybe if I ask some of my relatives, they're like, "Yeah, it was a completely different situation." But from what I
Well,
picked
whatever.
up
It shaded
from
your perspective, though.
yeah, from what I
Yeah.
picked up from her energy and how she was as a person, I could see her being like that, and I have said to you many times over and over again, I would like to be like her and my Auntie Claudette, and bringing up her, I think that's also where that is demonstrated, now that I think about it, because she was always so welcoming with everybody in the household, and they didn't fight. They would have, like, little spats, but then my Uncle Rick would be like, "Why are you being so grudgy?" And then, like, they would laugh at each other, and it would last, like, 3 minutes max. It wasn't, like, a full-on bore, like,
Yeah, no one
fighting, you
took it
know?
personally.
Yeah, so
Mhm. Gotcha. And then lastly, the devotion part,
mhm.
you know, which will, sums up what were some of I can't remember the acronyms she used. They were all A's, right?
So, yeah, um, affection, appreciation, agreement, approval, and admiration.
Yeah, admiration and appreciation and, you know, because when you're devoted, you're showing those things. So
Yeah.
it's like you understand what that is and you go towards that. I think that's a higher way of like almost like a higher calling.
Yeah.
'Cause it just makes sense. It just makes sense to you,
Mhm.
you know. And but I think the way she broke those down, I don't like, yeah, it'd be nice to have all five of those all the time, but it's just not completely realistic, you know. I think and I want to talk about the other one a little bit more because I don't necessarily disagree with her like at all.
Well, I don't necessarily disagree with her either. Like, the only reason why I'm sketchy with, like, approval of, like, and I guess I have a tainted view of it just because of how I grew up with my family. Like, I take my dad and him not being able to have, like, kind of the backbone to just be able to stand up and go, "Hey, this is what I'm doing," and, like, "Hey, this is what we're gonna go and do," and, like, be able to take lead. He was always needing approval for certain things, and so for me, when I see that word, that's what I think of, and so,
Do you
like,
think
it's n
maybe that he always needed approval for things because he rarely got it?
yes.
Okay. Imagine for a second how he would actually be if he were to get it,
Oh my gosh, hands down completely different.
right?
Yeah.
Right. So, you know, operating from this more psychological human understanding, I think what she offers here, these five things, are actually really valuable
Mhm.
because if you learn as a woman to do these things and break them down this way and really just focus on those, like you're not only going to improve his life, but you're going to improve yours too, because that's what he wants to do. He wants to improve your life. And a lot of women forget that, you know, they really do. They start getting sort of entitled to him and his life and everything. But, I don't look at, I like to look less at how the woman contributes to this and look at it more from the man being responsible for this because
Mhm.
they're the ones who lead. They're the ones who set the tones in relationships. And if they're always looking for approval, like so yeah, I guess I kind of agree with you here because if they come in and they're trying to impress,
Mhm.
hey, I got this job, I got this car, I got this, I do all this stuff, I'm taking you out all the time, and you're just like, oh wow, like this is going to be my life.
Mhm.
And then pieces of that start to go away over time, and what they sell you on this honeymoon phase thing going away, you know, and that's a lie.
Mhm.
And I used to believe it. I mean, people are going to hear that from me and be like, "What are you talking about? That's a lie. That always happens." They're like, "No, brother, it doesn't always happen." The problem is you got into this stage of your relationship where like you're just in this dating phase and discovery phase, and you stop trying to discover each other, and you get complacent, and they're just kind of there, and that's
And
where
there's
that goes.
and there's no play. Like you and I have talked
Yep,
about that several times.
that's
Um,
right.
throughout our relationship. Like if we aren't like bantering back and forth and we're like, "Hey, how's it going?" and we're both like on FaceTime scrolling on our phones. Like I can't remember the last time that we did that. But we talk about it all the time. It's not like and I don't think ever really the spark has gone away like between us. Like sure, we've had like heavy moments and like heavy discussions and we've had like not to say
Extremely.
dark times, but yeah, like it's been difficult at times, but even still, we always come back to things and we always crack jokes and banter back and forth and we always have fun and there's always that fun tension between us and that's a good thing and everybody's like, "Oh, tension's a really bad thing. Like we should never have that." No, it's polarity.
Agreed.
And that's how you keep in the honeymoon phase.
I, you know, I am always the one creating tension, and I use always to mean more like 90% of the time. Yeah.
Go on.
I create tension because there's a lot of times when I'm so serious about something that it feels like make or break, right?
Yeah.
Yep. Because I'm not playing with my life and how I want to live it, you know? And I want you along for that.
Mm.
Only if you want to come along for that. So I create that tension a lot of times.
I think you and I are talking about two different tensions though.
You're talking about play, but
Mhm.
tension is when it feels serious, when it feels like a pull or a
Mhm.
push. The tension is that empty space where you're not sure what the hell's going to happen. And it could be make or break, you know?
Yeah,
It's
so
really
we're definitely
uncertain.
Yeah, so we're definitely talking about 2 different things, but I agree with you with as far as the tension goes with that, yeah, it does feel like that.
Mhm. Well, I think what I just didn't want to paint the picture that we're just like perfect.
No, of course not, and like I said earlier, like, we've had some really heavy times and heavy conversations, and in those moments, it feels like make or break because we are so serious about that, and
Hmm.
that's, like, the tension of, like, what's the next move here?
Well, without that, the play feels like you're just fucking around.
Yeah, just friends with benefits, basically.
Yeah, I mean, it'll get stale. So I think it has everything to do with it. I mean, tension is where, like you said, polarity lives. We need that. Yep. And that's why I said I'm like always creating it. Yeah.
And then there's me, 10% just off the top.
When you tease, you create it.
Yeah, but that's a different type of tension, you know? And that's the type
Hmm.
of tension that I'm talking about, of like that's the fun one and stuff like that, of like that type
Hmm.
of tension. For me, like the seriousness and the magnitude of our relationship. Like I said, you set the tone for our relationship. And so sometimes it can be quite heavy and overwhelming and you're like, "Ah, what's the next what are we doing next? Are we good?" Like,
Yep.
and I ask that all the time, and
Hmm.
it's not that we're in an unstable relationship whatsoever, but, like, I do check-ins of, like, "Hey, like,
Yep.
we had this really, really heavy conversation, like, are you and I
Yep.
good? Is there anything
Yep.
else that needs to be said?"
Yeah.
Mhm,
Yeah. Well, what I teach a lot of guys when I talk to them, when I'm coaching them, is that the feminine is always looking for, and I say the feminine broadly, but the feminine is always gauging whether or not, is this bringing us closer or is this bringing us farther? And that's happening subconsciously in every conversation, anytime you're interacting,
mhm.
and because you're so sensitive to that tension. So that's why you ask that. And I get it. And it's good. I don't think it's a bad thing, you know. Can it be
The other
scary?
day
Yeah, it can be scary.
yeah. Yeah. And, like and and part of that too is, my past trauma with my, previous relationships and some of my insecurities as well of, like, "Am I good enough?" Like, "Is he gonna leave?" and stuff like that, and
Yep.
that's something that I have to actively work through. Um, it's been a process, and I've made leaps and bounds, and then I've had setbacks, and there are times that I have to really reset, and that's what our conversation was about the other day. And when I asked you that, you were like, "Baby, we're always good. We just got work to do."
Yep.
And it makes me like it fills my heart up knowing that. And like when I need that reassurance, you're not like, "I'm tired of saying this." You're always willing to give it and be like, "Hey, we're good."
Hmm.
And I'm really grateful for that.
Yeah. That's a great segue into that other video.
Oh my gosh. Kay, do you want to go first or can I go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So with that video, I was 50-50 on it because with that conversation of us the other day of what we had, like, I can't remember exactly, like, verbatim of what we had, but it kinda had something to do with that. Like, for me, like, I haven't been pulling my weight of, like, taking care of myself to my fullest, like, financially, taking care of my health, eating enough, like, I haven't like, I've kinda been in a rut for a while now, and I haven't been really happy with myself, and I haven't been it's been hard. So, and like I haven't been really living life and going out and doing things, and I've been isolating quite a bit. And we had that discussion of how you would like to take care of me and love to be able to provide all those things. But both of us are in a very similar situation financially, and it's unfair of me to ask that of you. And the last couple days I've been really
Well,
putting
hold
in
on
an
a
effort
second.
to.
Hold on a second.
I know, just
I'll hear you out, but I don't like that unfair shit. It's not that it's not it's unfair. It's totally fair. It's just that there's reality. And all you have is, and then that's what we talked about. We got to that point where all we have is what we do about it right now. What can we do? So we had the conversation about that. And it was make or break, right? So go ahead, continue.
so there's that, and like me kind of getting my shit together, and then like being able to hold myself in all aspects of life at this moment. And I'm gonna try my best to not use the words fair and unfair and stuff like that.
Hmm.
I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best. Oh my gosh. But I haven't been taking responsibility for that, and I know it's been affecting you. And like I said, we had that conversation, and for me, the last few days and taking those steps, like it's felt better. It's been hard to pull myself out of that rut, but I know it's for the best. And then I said I was 50-50 on that video because I also think that to a degree, it is the men's responsibility to provide safety. Like, I want to be able to go to you with anything. Like, I understand, like, I can't be pull on you 100% of the time because we all have our capacities, right? But, like, I want to be able to come with you with shit. Like, if I'm having a bad day, like, and eventually when we live together, I want to be able to come up to you and just have a really good hug and then go on my way. Like, I don't wanna just have to be like, "Okay, now you have to go sit alone for an hour and process your feelings and go and do this," and stuff like that. Meanwhile, that is good to do that type of thing, but I think being in a relationship and having that unity between each other, it's not that I don't wanna say you're each other's rock, but you can help each other get back to baseline, if that makes sense. And with the man having that frame and being able to, like, withstand the storm type deal,
Yeah.
um, it gives me a sense of stability and safety. So, like, it makes things easier. And Teal Swan mentions this all the time that, like, women can't. Oh, what's the words that she uses? They need a man. Women need a man to, um, like, continue their growth per se. Like,
Hmm.
women aren't able to, like, fulfill themselves. Men can because they have that stability in their life, but women were so chaotic and we have so much energy, like, going back and forth all the time. We need some sort of stability in order to grow. And so that's why I think it's really important to have a partner. And that's why I was 50-50 on this because I was like, women do need that. It's also good for women to be able to hold their inner child, but on the same hand, it's nice to have somebody else as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah. What did you agree with then, with what he said?
So with being able to hold your inner child, like you and I both know that I do like parts work. We both do a little bit. For me, I've neglected that part of myself for a very long time and been in survival mode for years, ever since childhood of like, hey, you have a role to fill, get your stuff together, get good grades, this, that, and the other thing. Like, be this perfect person and you neglect yourself. And the love and the emotional stability I didn't get as a child, that's my job to give to me now. Um, so that's what I agree in the video.
Yeah. So the problem I have with it is a lack of context. Usually with these videos, I have a lack of context. Um, he had a framing like he's either teaching men to sort of detach or teaching women, or maybe a little bit of both, to have a little more self-reliance emotionally, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's a good thing for you to be able to understand yourself, hold yourself, to heal yourself. But for him to say it's not a man's job, I was like, you know, you can go fuck yourself. To say that anything is not somebody's job, because when you think that way and you hear the word or her say, I don't feel safe, I'm not safe, and you don't have the ability to call it out, it's going to trigger you. And you're gonna be like, she's manipulating me. She needs to figure that out on her own and leave her. And then he just avoids. It's not healthy.
And yeah, if he doesn't have the compassion to be like, okay, what's going on? And let's sit down and have a discussion about it instead of being like, well, you need to figure that out. That's not my
Hmm.
issue.
Yeah, but I mean, I can see it. I can see that happening just based on what he said. That's why I
Hmm.
have a problem with it.
Yeah.
And, you know, they don't have the capacity to sit down and have that discussion
Hmm.
because he's just gonna hear her out completely and take full responsibility for it. But it's not his responsibility. Okay. If he's being manipulated
Hmm.
into becoming something for her that she can damn well do on her own,
Mm.
you know? Or a lot, and I've seen this. A lot of women will say that when there's nothing wrong. The guy's not acting in any kind of way to make her feel unsafe.
Hmm.
And I've seen that firsthand.
Yeah, they label it wrong of like what's actually going on.
Yeah, they label it wrong because they've seen it on Instagram and they're like, "Oh, I can use that," you know? And but anyway, if you can't if you don't have the capacity within yourself to be solid as a man within yourself, you can't be the rock for her
Hmm.
because she feels instability whenever she's upset. She feels you upset too, maybe even worse than her now, maybe in a different way. And she's like, oh shit, I can't come to him with this because look how wrapped up he's getting about it. Like,
Hmm.
wow, like, look how upset he gets, you know? And a lot of powerful guys are like that. You just get fucking triggered real quick, get all upset, like, fuck, now I got to do this too and fix that and whatever, and get all mad at them for creating a situation that they feel
Hmm.
like they got to be responsible for, right? So they don't have the capacity to do that. But what I really think about this is that this guy's a baby and he's catering to babies,
Hmm.
baby men who don't know how to do this. And and instead of actually helping men figure out how to be that guy, he just tells them it's not their job.
Hmm.
It's fucking lazy and it's weak.
Yeah.
That's what I have a problem with. Every woman that I've ever met has trauma.
Hmm.
Every man that I've ever met has trauma. And even though I'm a coach, I specialize in all this shit, right? and I understand it deeply on a really deep level. Even if I didn't, and I just knew this and I understood it, and I understood women, I would understand that this is required, you know? Now there's some verbiage there, like make her feel safe. I don't like that because like there's that point, there's that part of it too.
Hmm.
She doesn't feel safe. You got to figure out why she doesn't feel safe.
Hmm.
But if you're doing something that's causing her to feel unsafe, like actually, and she labels it, and you can actually see how it would do that, then you need to correct,
Hmm.
right? Like, duh.
Yeah, it's basic
Like,
communication.
right. Like part of what we talked about was how on my end I was doing that with you in a way. And I saw it when we were talking about how instead of hearing you out about some of the things that you're learning and working on or whatever, I would immediately be like you're looking at the wrong thing and you got to look at this, right? And you just felt judgment. You didn't feel heard, right? And that's exactly what I was doing. So instead of me like always course correcting you, hear you out, hear what you really figuring out and how you can use it and help you figure that out for yourself.
Yeah.
So I told you I would do that.
Mm.
Have a little more patience. That's it. Real simple. So when it comes to holding space emotionally for you, that's definitely what I feel like is my first of all, it's my pleasure. I love doing that for you. Okay. It's even if it's heavy and crazy, or at least what other people would label as crazy, or there's a serious spiral going on. I know in the end that it'll all work out. And because of that, I can have fun with it. I can play in it. And it's only heavy when I make it personal, when I make it personal to me, and sometimes it has to be because there's something that I am actually doing that is making you feel unsafe. And that's why I have a big problem with the fucking real.
Yeah.
It's weak as fuck. And it lets guys off the hook a little too much.
And I think with that as well, it automatically puts women in their masculine. Like, because if that is the case, and if you weren't able to hold space for me, I need to figure out how to do that for myself. And I would be in my masculine. I would get hard. I would get really cold and just like become really rigid. And it's
Is that what you think the masculine is?
no, not that per se. But I know for me personally, when I get very emotional and I get hard on myself, I get hard and cold. I'm like, you just have to do more work. You have to do this. You have to do that. Stop being a bitch. Just fucking get your shit together. And that's where my head goes. And I know that is like a really bad representation of the masculine, but like the masculine is getting things done. It's your action takers. And so that's where I go when I'm like not fully processing my emotions. I get really set into my masculine. And for a lot of women who don't understand the masculine and feminine, they're automatically going to go into their masculine because we've been taught in society of like, suck it up, buttercup, just get going. That's life. Like, it is what it is. And so for me, that's where I used to go to, and you can use that, like, and get so much done with it. Like, don't get me wrong, I know pain and, like, getting stuck in that drive mode, like, you can accomplish many things, and I don't think it's necessarily a bad thing, but it can't be a thing to be done forever. But if you're in a relationship with somebody that's like, "I'm not gonna hold you, hold yourself," you're automatically stuck in that place of, "I have to rely on me."
Yeah. 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 So you'll end up being in that masculine place more and more. And if you really don't have an understanding of what the masculine is in a healthy way, um, it's not going to show you're not going to navigate that very well, and it's really unnatural for you. And if you're in that space all the time, you end up with all kinds of problems, health wise.
Mhm.
Um, just like men are when they're in their feminine all the time, they end up with all these health issues too. You know, hormone imbalances, weight gain, um, emotional issues, depression, anxiety. For women, it's more, weight gain's part of it, but there's also autoimmune disorders. Um, what else?
No, for me, when
Um,
I get, like, really stressed and I'm in that, I get a lot of acne,
yeah.
like,
Oh,
hair
well, I
loss
do
as
too when I'm
well.
stressed. Weight loss,
Hair loss.
hair loss. Yeah, that's another one. Yep. Same with men, you know, genetics passed down. Well, also, I was in that place too. Extremely emasculated, feminized, extremely. Um, I have a feeling that if I would have learned earlier on, that maybe I would have still had my hair. What I mean is like actually actively work on changing my genetics by working out, focusing on, you know, painful things like that, being athletic. And I didn't focus on that at all.
Mm.
Um, yeah,
So
if you have to hold yourself as a woman and you can't lean on a man to be able to do that for you, um, or at least lean on a man's masculinity to do that for you,
mhm,
you're gonna muster up your own misguided masculinity to be able to do that. And I sure as fuck wouldn't go to a guy like that to figure out what the hell a healthy masculinity looks like,
yeah,
you know? I wouldn't necessarily say that I am like the model either, but I've seen examples, you know, and that's not him. He's not. He's still got a lot of limiting beliefs about what the hell that means.
yeah,
Yeah, he's got some woo woo pie in the sky idea about what that means.
mhm.
Um, and a lot of
I
these
think it
spiritual
I
gurus
think
do.
I think that they just get a hold of whatever jargon is trending nowadays, and they try and, like, just add it
Yeah,
into whatever content that they're making, and they don't actually
that's
have an
what it kind of
understanding.
sounded like.
Yeah,
That's what it kind of sounded like. Okay, yeah, yeah.
yeah.
After diving into the space, start to see that a lot more and more.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
And then with making content too, you're like, we're conscious on what we put out, and I say we 'cause occasionally, like, I'll make videos for me, like, I just do them like, off the bat. Like, I don't do scripts. But
I do.
I know with you, whenever you send me videos, I look for that. I'm like, "Are you using just, like, trending stuff?"
Usually correct because um I see it all over. I see the way it shades of perception. I see the kinds of people who gravitate towards those messaging. Most of the time, they have no idea what it means to rely on the internal to find their power. They have no idea. And most of these people that I see just like anchor into some external idea and, you know, it's kind of tragic. It's it really is.
Yeah.
But hey, there's a whole market for it out there. So if he does well, if he's actually doing work and helping people out, but I feel like he's just a stepping stone.
Well, as long as it's a first step,
Yeah.
like, I suppose, like, that progress is progress, right?
Hmm.
So, I have a question on here of what I wrote, like, relating to the 2 videos of what do women actually need, and we talked about it a little bit more about, like, women needing safety. Is that everything that women need in a relationship?
Well, in the context, what do they need in the context of relationship?
Mhm.
Like, what do they need from a man?
Yeah.
They need consistency, is what they need.
Mhm.
You know, consistency, however, I know firsthand is enough to keep a man from being betrayed. Oh, all right. So they need more than that. But women need emotional safety. All right. They need somebody who is actually not gonna scramble the same way they do. They don't need another girlfriend.
Mhm.
They need a solid pillar that they can lean on, that they can crash up against. Because if they don't have that, and most women don't, except their dads, and even their dads most of the time are Mr. Fix-Its too, right?
Mhm.
So, um, what else?
Um,
I think Yeah, go ahead.
I think appreciation goes both ways as well. Like, and I think everybody's kind of motivated by this, men especially, like, specifically, but on the women's side, like, especially if women are, like, stay-at-home moms and stuff like that, like, I know a lot of people, um, like, their husbands won't necessarily, like, appreciate everything that's going on in the home, and there's that dynamic of,
Yeah.
well, I go to work and I provide this, that, and the other thing, and you're just at home with the kids and not realizing, like, it's a lot of work to stay at home and look after family and have a peaceful household. And so there's that side of things, and then having the appreciation for us showing up to be your cheerleaders and to be able to reflect things back to you as well. That's something that I really appreciate with you when you're like, "Thanks, babe, like, I didn't see that." And I'm just like, I feel, like, helpful in a way, if that makes
Hmm.
sense.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Yeah. I see that. I see that. Yeah.
'Cause I love being able to help and being able to help you navigate certain things in your life, and I think that's what women are for as well, we talk about how our
that
partners
was
mirror each other.
the thing I was trying to think of. I was trying to think of the other one, and what they need is direction. Not like
Yes.
directing necessarily, but direction as far as like where you're going. She wants to know that where you're going is going to lead you to a better life, better outcome,
Mhm. Mhm.
right? And with that direction comes all of those things. Because
Yes.
if you have that direction, you know what your parameters are. It makes things easy. You don't have to worry, like you can just tackle the thing, you can do the thing. You don't have to think about whether or not it's right or it's okay or how people are going to feel about it, which I know that you think about those things. How, like, uh, if I do it this way or do I do it that way? Like, how's it going to be? How's it going to look? How are people going to, what are they
Yeah.
going to think
Yeah.
about it? So there's a level of acceptance there too. Um, yeah, I don't want to use the word validated, but it's definitely everyone needs to be validated in a relationship. You need to validate each other. Like you're 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 a human being, you're a real person, but accepted,
Yeah.
you know.
For me, I
Um,
think validation, I don't mean to cut you off. Validation is a gift. Um, that's an honor to give each other. Everybody's instead of like e- or two people grasping for validation from the other person, when it's given to you, it's very much appreciated. And so that's something that like flows in the relationship and just being able to give each other that validation. Like for example, your videos. When I see something that like it's great, like I'll tell you all of those things and it's validating. When I see something that could be tweaked, I'll tell you those things as well and I know you appreciate that as well. So having that validation and that insight is something that's
Girl.
oh my god.
no, I do. I'm always looking for insight.
Mhm.
If I can, like, I got a bunch of stuff unreleased, so I don't want to just send it out to a bunch of people. I just need a little bit of perspective. That's it.
Yeah.
So I always send them to you. Um,
Is there anything else that you want to add to this? Like, I feel like I want to talk about it more, but I'm not really sure what else to say. Like, I feel
yeah, I
like we
don't
covered
either.
everything.
Yeah. Um, I feel exactly the same way. Like we can go ad nauseum on some of these things,
Mm.
but um, I think we covered the gist of what we wanted to say. Or at least I did anyway.
One thing that I want to ask before we go with women's expectations of safety. So, because that was the main conversation that we had the other day, like with me not taking responsibility for my own life and taking care of me and like I said, financially with my health and everything like that. There's nothing you can really do like for you to take responsibility about my health. Like that's something that's totally on me. Um, but when we were in that conversation, you were like, "Why aren't you doing anything?" Like certain things aren't adding up and they aren't making sense. Cuz in the beginning of our relationship, like I've told you many times before that I wanted to be a stay-at-home housewife. And at one point, you were like, "Just don't work. You're good. I
Hmm.
got you." And it kinda went sour a little bit, and, like, things happened in our lives, like, that contributed to that drastically, but I still had that same expectation, and I didn't move on things, and I know, like and for me, like, I need to take responsibility for that, and, like, I feel bad for it because 'cause I'm, like, trying to find the words without using fair and not fair.
Just say what you want to say. What do you want to say?
it wasn't fair. And like I put all of that on you. And it was heavy and I know it was affecting you. And like there were hints of resentment. Like it wasn't a lot of it, but I could feel that little bit of tension there with myself towards you with that and that like I look back on it now and I'm just like fuck, this is not what I wanted to do, you
Me
know?
neither.
And so I want to talk about like the expectations, like let's say in the beginning of the relationship, because um not of ours per se, but like of any relationship. When like men are supposed to provide that safety and stuff like that, what are women supposed to expect? And is that a conversation that should be had between the both of them of what that really is? Or should there be a baseline of like, this is your this is what I expect? And I feel like a lot of people they don't communicate those types of things of like, oh, well, they should just know. And I feel like I fell into that the other day. And like I've fallen into that for months and I thought we were on the same page of things and like clearly we were so I was so off the mark and just yeah. So
What I have to say is that if things had gone exactly the way we wanted to in the beginning, we would have gotten exactly what we wanted. It would have came with all of the hardship and the beautifulness of it at that time. But on the other hand, there's a reason for everything. And I do not regret at all whatsoever the journey that you and I have gone through, darling. You know, the love that I have for you, the appreciation I have from you, the devotion that you and I share together. Like, and we haven't seen each other, what, 8 months?
closer to 10.
10? And even with that, so much self-discovery that's been happening because of that. And I can't wait till it ends. But I don't like it's been a beautiful journey, you know.
I don't regret it either.
And things have changed. Things changed drastically and rapidly, and there's a lot of drama and turmoil and things out of our control. Okay. And ignorance on both of our parts, laziness on both of our parts. But and things have changed, and I've always made sure you knew that well, I should say I've always came back and we would always talk about new agreements, you know, and it hasn't always been like as bad as it feels to you. You've made a lot of progress, you know. It's just the resistance of moving on the things that really would make the biggest difference, you know, and targeting that and focusing on those. And same with me.
I've had a lot of guilt with that.
Ditto.
One step at a time, baby.
We're making our way. Um, but you asked me a question. I'm trying to remember what it was. Expectations.
Yeah,
You
as far
said
as like
a
safety
man's
goes.
supposed to do that. A man's supposed to provide and whatever. Um, not necessarily. I think that there's plenty of relationships out there that work that there's a definite role reversal in that regard. There's a lot of men staying home while the women work. If they have the advantage and it works out, great. Um, if there's a serious polarity shift there, as long as they maintain the polarity in the relationship and have a clear agreement on what that power dynamic is, because it is a power dynamic, on what that dynamic is, then they're going to be fine.
Yeah.
You know, I remember talking with this guy, I think his name was Manny, and he had the same situation, and he was extremely hurt, extremely angry all the time. She was cheating on him, all, like constantly cheating on him, manipulating with him. Whatever. That's different, but
Of course.
it's hard for a man. It really is. It comes more natural for a woman, I think, to uh
Want that safety and that.
no, I think it comes more natural for a woman actually to um simplify things, break things down, simplify them, and tackle them, knock them out.
Yeah.
And when a woman does that over and over and over and over again, they build success.
Hmm.
Okay, for a man, we deeply want to measure up. So we look at what's the thing that really challenges me? Who do I want to be? Like, what do I have to become? And I'm thinking of the context of like women who are successful, building legacy, holding being the provider. Okay. Um, and a man, they get really ambitious and they have these big dreams, but they also have a low sense of self-worth because they're not meeting that, or they meet it, or they try to reach for it and they get hit, right? So it's like it takes a toll on you. and they're always trying to achieve higher and higher and higher. It would be, it would have been easier if a man could actually make a wage, go to work, have a role, come home, and be able to provide income for the entire thing,
Mhm.
and, actually provide whatever a company needs. But it's not that way anymore. A man
Yeah.
really has to work hard.
Mhm.
And a lot of these
So
women, what they'll do is they wear a freaking suit and they look pretty, and all of a sudden they're getting a lot more special treatment. And
Mhm.
I've seen it, you know. Um, but they're also very structured and organized because, like I said, they know how to break things down simply, tackle those, get them out of the way, you know, and um and fall in line. They know how to follow
Mhm.
direction. Whereas
Yeah.
men, a lot more rebellious. They want to make their own way and carve their own path.
Mhm.
So, um, anyway, I know that was a whole side note thing. Um, that was addressing what you had said about men are supposed to provide.
Mm.
Okay. Um, the masculine provides. If a man is in his touch with his masculine as much as the woman's in touch with her masculine, she's going to be a better provider.
Mhm.
And I would say in touch with the healthier side of the masculine.
Mm.
Yeah. Um,
I guess what I'm asking, like, is it reasonable for women to expect safety?
I think it's beyond reasonable. That's a kind of a loaded question, though. I mean,
Like,
is
if
it
it's
reasonable nowadays for women to expect that from most men these days? No, not at all. It's absolutely unreasonable.
I'm trying to I guess that answers my question, I suppose. Because yeah, for conscious women, like for you and me, like when we started out our relationship way before that even, we talked about like what we wanted and what kind of partners we were going to be as ourselves and what kind of partners we were looking for.
Mhm.
And for me, I think it comes down to like knowing what you want and then discussing that like with your partner. Like for example, like I wanted somebody who um wants to lead. I didn't want to be the nagging wife, the one that's running
Which
around
comes
like
from, yep, which comes from somebody who abdicates leadership, right?
mhm.
Yep. If you're with a man who abdicates his leadership, um, you're gonna end up nagging him all the time to get him to move.
Yeah.
Um, I interrupted you.
Yeah. Like I think we're good, baby. I think we have everything that we need.
I didn't answer your question.
Like
It
now
almost
I
seems like I'm
completely
dodging your question.
um
Expectation for a woman.
yeah.
What, like, wh- I don't.
As far as like emotional safety goes and like being able to like rely on men and being able to lean on them, is that something women should be able to have those expectations for, or is that something that should be talked about? And I feel like we went
Oh,
over this already, and I feel like it's something that needs to be talked about because that depends on the person.
hmm.
Mm.
I think the should word can go away, but other than that, yeah, women need that. Yeah. Most men, and I've heard Teal Swan say the same thing, but I've said it before, is that Most men really don't understand how much fear, how much a woman walks around with fear. Okay, they're in fear much of the time. Like there probably doesn't. I think she said that doesn't go a day where they're not worried about their life in
Oh,
some
yeah.
capacity. Yeah. So men don't have to deal with that. We don't. We walk around like, you know, king of the world, like nothing can harm me.
10 foot, 10 foot tall and bulletproof.
Yeah, you know, and we get a sense of that indestructibleness pretty early. And so we don't really understand that. And if men just really knew that, they'd have a little more compassion for the way a woman gets. One of the problems I think men have is that they see anger from a woman and they don't associate that with fear. They associate it with uh,
Ah, she's
being
a
a
bad
baby
crazy.
or whatever, because that's how they handle it.
Mm,
It's a projection, but it's not, they don't see it as fear. If they really understood that, oh, they're afraid right now, this person's afraid,
mm.
they're scared, you know, and dive in what they're scared about. Maybe I can help you, maybe you can't, but I'm going to lead you to a place where you're starting to see that there really is nothing to fear. So that is that's what the world needs.
Yeah. So all in all, yes, it is reasonable for women to expect that, but I
Yeah,
think men need to be educated as well. In conclusion,
yeah. I don't think education's enough.
no.
There's plenty of this talk on the internet now. I noticed, when I was working in GA before, I thought I was kind of blind to how much of what he teaches is on the internet for free.
Mm,
A lot of it. And but it's all pie in the sky ideas, you know. They don't really understand where it actually comes from and what to do. So the how is missing. There's no how,
yeah.
So it takes practice, not just education.
Yeah, of course.
Hmm. Yeah.
Alrighty. Shall we wrap up, darling?
Sure, darling. How long have we been at it?
At least an hour.
Okay.
So, I'll log off. Love you lots. Glad we were able to do this. It's been too long.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
I
Talk to
love
you
you,
in a bit,
beautiful.
darling. I love you too.